Good morning and welcome to the Good Builder podcast. Today I have a fascinating guest, and it's actually probably better that I spoke to him just before we started this podcast because I probably got to learn a little bit more about him. He's had over 2 decades in the industry. He's owned a business called Frampton Builders since 2014, and the business specializes in custom homes and renovations and extensions, but he's also got a very interesting project, or not even project, a new company that he's working in that we're going to talk about later in a different sector of the construction industry. He's one of Brisbane's most trusted builders from what I've seen around there, and he is an absolute weapon, and he does a lot of stuff in the post-war and pre-war homes around Brisbane and southeast Queensland. There's something about him that, I don't know, before this podcast we were talking and we were talking not only about building, but just the way he views kind of life and things that he's curious about, and he is just a fascinating guy. He's got a documented process, which we're going to go through as well, which will help a lot of you builders out there, called the Frampton Way. I don't want you to steal it, but you'll just see how driven he is and how process driven he is. And I can't wait to get this conversation going. So I am so excited to welcome to the couch Rod Frampton from Frampton Builders and
Frampton Clean Rooms.
Frampton Clean Rooms, yes. So I only learned about this one yesterday. But before we get into all that, actually, Rod, tell me a little bit about yourself, mate, and where it all started, because you are fascinating, mate. I've got to shut up, but one thing I want to say before you answer that, this guy here, I just had a conversation with him and I was like, man, I've been looking for a custom builder that is so well-rounded and cares so much about the industry and is so curious. You know all these things that, you probably shouldn't in your view. You look at things like a CEO of Avid Property or Metricon or something like that. You're an absolute monster, mate. So where did it all kind of start? What happened, Rod?
Well, I guess I've always had the passion for business and the construction industry, and I've always thought like I love being like a tradesperson. Like I'm a carpenter, and I've been in the industry for over 2 decades. But I've also had a passion for business as well. My view is that a builder is really a business owner, like a operator and stuff. I was saying before, like I'm very fortunate that I have my trade background and my experience and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I believe like a builder, they can run a company without having the experience in the industry, like a trade background, as long as they have proper people who know, like technical, a supervisor or a project manager who has that technical ability. But the builder's role is really to drive the company and set all the values and look at all the financial and the forecasting, getting all the business.
Well, within about 3 minutes 30, because I'm looking at the clock now, I think you are the fastest person to actually define what a good builder is, and I agree, mate. And I think it's very cool. And before the pod, as I said, me and Rod were having a bit of a chat, and he kind of mentioned this kind of point. And I said to him, mate, when I worked at GJ's, the biggest country was New Zealand. And then I know you're from New Zealand. I think people from New Zealand are a tad more professional than we are here in Australia. And I think, and that's what I've seen. I've worked over in New Zealand with builders, with several groups actually. And I've seen that across the board. I'm not just saying it as a throwaway comment because I think you're wonderful. But mate, the other thing was, that when you have a look at building, you really are a business owner, like you say. And when I had a look at New Zealand and GJ's, and I was kind of like, who are the highest performers in our group and who are they? Mum was an accountant. They bought a franchise. And like you said, had a supervisor underneath them. I think they were the biggest and they grew. Oh, he was a banker.
Okay, there you go.
My God. And they
Numbers
just
person,
shot
Yep.
and they just shot out of the gates like nobody's ever seen. I took a flight over there to talk to him.
Yep.
And I was like, how did you do it? And he was talking about being a banker, having a business background.
Yep.
I was pretty green in the industry, so I probably didn't understand a lot. I didn't put two and two together. And then as I've done this good builder thing, sorry, this is your podcast, not mine. But as I've done this good builder thing, I just want to say something. But when I've done this good builder thing, and when I talk to people who have that kind of mindset and ethos and the experience and the knowledge, I was like, they're weapons. And mate, you are probably the most impressive that I've met in that smaller kind of crew.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry to say that on camera. But
no, it's all right.
it's cool, mate. So tell us a little bit about Frampton Builders and Frampton Clean Rooms and how that's all evolved as well, mate.
Yeah, okay. So Frampton Builders was founded in July 2014. So we've been in business for over 10 years. And statistically speaking, I think it's between 1 in 20 or 1 in 25 builders don't make it to a decade.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of scary. And it comes back down to like knowing how to run a business, right? So we specialize. Frampton Builders specialises in custom builds and high end homes. So at the moment, we're doing halfway through a 1,000 square metre home. It's about $2 million project. And my Frampton Clean Rooms. So that's just a new company. I've just started, but I've actually been doing a project for 2 years. It's been going for 2 years. It's in the planning stage for well over a year. It's been a very quick turnaround time, and the project, I think in total, including all the clients' equipment and stuff, is about 20 mil. And I actually got thrown in the deep end because at the time, because I've been doing business with this company for 5 or 6 years, and then they wanted to do like a small refurb, like $1 million refurb. And to me at the time, that was big.
Okay.
But then they decided partway through the planning and stuff, they decided to acquire these 2 warehouses without my knowledge. Said, we're not going to do this refurb anymore. We're already started on this these 2 warehouses. So then I got thrown in the deep end, and it turned out the warehouses that they acquired that wasn't suited for what they need. So we had to do like clever design and whatnot, and a lot of forward thinking how to go into this project, and it set me up with a lot of new skills and whatnot.
Wow.
So I just got thrown in the deep end, and fortunately, it turned out really good. And the TGA, Therapeutic Goods Administration, they're the regulator for pharmaceutical and clean rooms. They came through and said it was one of the best facilities they've seen, which is really, really good.
And that was one of your first.
That
in
was my
that
first, and
space.
it was a huge
First.
Yeah, the
Wow.
first, and it was a huge site. So I was very good feedback to get. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. And timeline was very critical. What should have been like a 10 or so month build, we pushed it in like 6 months, and just a lot of coordination and a lot of communication and whatnot where to get through with all the subcontractors and everyone involved. Yeah.
Wow. So you'll be heading down that space and doing a bit
Oh,
more
definitely.
there. Oh, that's
Although it was a very challenging and stressful project, I actually learned a lot. So the next one's going to be, I'll just have a lot of insight now. And
yeah.
I actually enjoy that type of stuff. So it's something I really want to get more into. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why I started
I love
Frampton
it.
Clean Rooms. So,
I love it, mate. Well, both businesses are a great success. As I said, we look around and we have a look at the builders we bring on, and we want to make sure they're good builders. And we have a look at their reviews and reputation and people who talk about you. We know Kirsty from Good Guys,
Yeah.
and they just talk how so highly of you. Your customers do everything.
Yeah.
When starting Frampton Builders, what did you think was missing in the industry, and what did you want to be known for, and what did you want to stand for? Because you seem like a pretty deep thinker about things like I'm, from large and small builders.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, everyone out there, but I'm highly impressed by this bloke. I've never had a builder sit there and go, I didn't even know the statistic. 1 in 25 builders won't make a decade. You
Yeah.
think about those things.
Yeah.
You think
Yeah.
about not surviving, flourishing, and how you do it, and how you're going to be here in a decade, and what Frampton Clean Rooms is going to be probably in a decade.
Nah, exactly.
Yeah. What did you want to stand for?
Well, I believe there's a huge gap in the industry. Like I said, I feel like the late 2000s was a turning point in the industry, just with where quality stand. And I was very fortunate that I was taught by some very old school tradespeople. So they gave me my core values and everything, like, communicating, being honest, and caring about your work and all that stuff. And then also, turning up to work early and whatnot, and been proud of what you do. And I feel like that changed in the 2000s with, I think I told you, Rudd government started incentivize. They recognised there's a bit of a
This is why I think you're brilliant. Keep going, mate.
yeah, they needed extra builders and tradespeople in the industry. So what they did, they incentivized RTOs. They funded
Just to push through, you were saying.
yeah, to push through more people. So basically, the incentive for the RTOs is basically get numbers through, because then they get their incentive.
Yep.
Which, and as you know, like the construction industry and being a tradesperson, it's a thing that takes time, right? It's a craft. So, and you got to do the time to understand like how things work, and how to be professional and good at what you do. You can't just give someone a ticket and say, you're right, you're qualified. You got to really do the time and get the experience. And I think that's what lacks in our industry. And it's sad that I feel like Australian standards or skill set isn't where it should be. I feel like there is a change. I see a lot of builders wanting to understand how to run a business and
Yeah.
whatnot. But I feel like the government needs to heavily invest in up and coming apprentices, because my best tradespeople over the years have been from overseas, from New Zealand and the UK.
Yeah, you're
I'm currently sponsoring a guy from the UK because the skill set's really good. But I think Australia, we really need to open in the short term. I think
I
we
love
need
it.
to invite foreign workers, like skilled migrants,
Yeah.
and need to incentivize businesses, because I had to pay, I think 12 or 13K to sponsor my employee. But
You're bringing over a very skilled.
exactly.
That
But
was
for
yeah.
me, it's an investment. But like, I think the government needs to incentivize small businesses to and encourage, because it's going to shorten the skills gap, and that's our answer for short term skill shortages. The long term skill shortages should be
As you were saying.
investing more into apprentices, encouraging apprentices into, like, young people into trades,
Yeah.
because unfortunately a lot of young people don't want to do trades, that they're more interested in like tech and IT and whatnot. But like, as you can see, AI is taking a lot of skill,
Yeah. Mm.
like white collar jobs and whatnot. But if you're a young school leaver doing an apprenticeship and you like that sort of thing, doing an apprenticeship is like a really good career path, because like,
Yeah.
it's AI is not going to take people's job in the next future. I think you know what?
I reckon you're the most protected. Actually, Claude,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
Claude put out a graph.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to put it up on social and I'm going to send it to you, Rod, because you,
Yeah.
you are that kind of guy. You probably go down a rabbit hole and prove me wrong or prove Claude wrong. But I think it's right, mate. And it had like a spiderweb graph and it said who's going to be most impacted. And like, you are more impacted if you're near the center of the circle, and trades were like right out at the edge.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep.
So I think you're completely right, mate.
Nah, yeah. But you know what? In saying that, I think it's not going to be far off, say, maybe in a decade's time, where robotics are going to start
Yeah.
taking over some kind of skilled, like whether it's like an assistant or something like that. But
Yeah.
there's going to be, at some point in time when you're just going to have like a robotic tradesperson doing,
Yeah.
carpentry or plumbing or whatnot, to an extent. So
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, and I totally agree with you, Rod. When you were talking about that back
Mm,
there, that's
mm,
why I was like, "Whoa," you really look into the industry and how things can be done better. And I think to your point, you look at spending 12 or 13K as an investment. I think that's your business head as well,
mm,
and I
mm.
think that's a really cool thing that not
Yeah.
all smaller builders think like that
Nah. Yep. Yep.
as well. So I'm not, saying that the government shouldn't pay you more money. I think the government should actually cover that with the
Nah.
money that
100%.
they waste
Exactly.
currently with their apprenticeship programs that go to different associations and get
Mm-hmm.
no result.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree with you, Rod. Like, imagine that was covered for you, mate. Like,
Mm.
you'd probably bring on another, and your
Nah.
clean room
100%.
business would go like that. You'd
Eh?
be like scaling as much as you wanted. But it's a
Nah.
lot of
Exactly.
outlay, mate.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
does it come your responsibility, Rod? Like, can you tell me a little bit about the agreement when you sponsor somebody?
Yeah, okay.
For other smaller builders out there that might have never done it, and how you
Yeah,
did it,
yeah, yeah.
and what it kind of means.
Well, I fortunately found him. He applied for a job to come work for me, and then straight away we saw that he is really good. He's very clued on. His skill set is quite high, a range of skills. And then he just said to me, "Hey Rod, I got to get my PR to extend my visa and whatnot." He says, "Are you interested?" Well, he told me is going to be. I was only going to be about $3,000, but then I have a friend. She's a migration lawyer. And then she sent me a quote and it says like 12, 13. I'm like, what the hell? And then I just like, I was joking in my head saying, oh, well, it's nice knowing you. But then I just thought about, like, you know what? It's an investment. Because then the other way you can look at it, if you went to a recruitment agency, you'll be paying sort of something similar fee to find them a good
Oh yeah,
certificate, and then they might not be the right candidate for you, and they might only last with you 6 years. Whereas you got someone who's they're invested with you they're going to be with you for the next 2 years to get their PR. I think it's 2 or 3 years to
yeah.
be with you for the next 3 years. So that's an incentive. Like, they're going to be with you long haul, and they really want to get the visa, so they're going to be committed as much as you, and they've got to invest money as well. So that's the other thing. They're going to invest probably
Wow.
just as much or more
Yeah.
to get their visa. So
Mm.
so it's like over a 20 something $1,000 investment for both parties.
Wow,
And
mate.
it's I think it's a rort. I think the government should really look at changing it, because like
If you want to help, absolutely. You guys know what skilled migration looks like.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
No,
this is where
exactly.
I'm at in my head, and I'm probably too basic for the entire world. But I think I was telling you, I was down in Melbourne looking at all this money getting spent, 300 million amongst people I don't want to talk about right now on the podcast. But I was like, exactly like you. Give it to small builders.
Yeah, yep, yep.
We'll pay your fee. Like, where does that money go?
No,
It's crazy, mate. You're completely right. It's frauds.
Exactly.
It's
And not only that, I think they need to invest in skilled migration.
Yep.
And they also need to invest heavily on apprentices as well. They need to reward both, I think, apprentices to encourage them to come into the industry.
More reward, you think? More money? What are you saying out there, Rod?
Okay, well,
because it's an education too. I had an apprentice from the other week, and legend of a guy, and I wasn't trying to put words in his mouth, but because of this 300 million that's on my head, I was trying to steer him in the direction of you should be paid more. And I asked him, I shouldn't do that on a podcast, but and then I went, hey mate, you reckon you know, what do you think? And he's like, no, you got to think about it. 18 grand a year. I'm getting an education. Got mates in uni that don't get paid.
Yeah, he's absolutely right.
And I was like,
it's my thoughts as well.
Oh, very interesting. And I love the gratefulness of it. And I think you're training on the job again.
100%. You look at it like if you get someone, so 2 school leavers, right?
Yep.
And this is what school leavers don't see. Because at school, you're encouraged, like when I was at school, you're encouraged to go to uni, you think it's be end all, right? But you get 2 school leavers, right? Say actually one of them's going to become a doctor, which is quite a heavy investment. It takes like 10 years, right? And the other one just comes out of school, does an apprenticeship, maybe painter, plaster, carpenter, whatever it may be, right? They're paid, and this is what annoys me when apprentices complain they only get so much little money, but they don't have the burden of going to university, paying for, it could be like $100,000 HECS debt or university debt they've got to pay off over the next, say, 10 years or something like that. They're not even getting paid. They've got to pay to get a ticket or a certificate. They're not guaranteed a job, right? And then, like, I think statistically, don't say me on this, but most people go to uni, they don't even do what they studied.
Yeah.
Completely
right.
And when you see,
you probably know the stats too, though, Rod.
No, but actually, but I've heard this, because
it's true, mate.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then when the tradesperson, when they come out of their time, they're fully skilled. They've also got employer and all that sort of stuff, and then they're basically making money straight away. And then they make good money. So maybe
when do you make good money? I know this is jumping to the chase, but I'm going to tell my story because I was never a trade, and I'm going to tell a little bit about my journey. And I'd like to be. It's interesting.
Depending on your skill level, but I think as soon as you finish your apprenticeship, I think you start earning like good money for your age. Say if you leave at 18 and you finish when you're 22, you could be, I think, maybe earning, maybe 70, 80K per year, which is a lot for 22-year-old. Yeah. When you're 30, you'd be earning over 100. If you're good at what you're doing, you could be earning well over 100 grand, and you could, by the time you're 30, you could start being a builder. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So
interesting. Okay, this is my journey. Just for the listeners out there, because I'm not a tradesperson. I tried, I got involved with a building company later on in life.
Yeah.
So I did the traditional path. Mates left school, became tradies. I saw how rich they got quicker than me anyway. I went to uni, business law and marketing degree. 6 years. Was working in Sydney Fish Market, earning maybe $400 a week.
Yeah.
So I was 22.
Yeah.
Had my business law degree, thought I was going to get a job, couldn't.
Yep.
I'm out there at 23, 24, and I was selling, this is how old I am, I was selling calendars door to door in Western Sydney industrial areas. And they were nudie calendars with women on them. This is how back in the day it was. And you could put your advertising space at the bottom and then give it out to your customers for a Christmas present.
Yeah.
I did that for a year.
Yeah, wow.
Up and down the Central Coast, Sydney.
Yeah.
Then I got sick of that because I didn't want to. I was raised by my mum. I didn't really like it anyway, but I couldn't get a job. I just needed money.
Yeah.
Then I did research.
Plus you would have been in debt as well, HECS debt, right?
Oh, yeah. So the HECS debt was never getting touched at this point. Right? Really getting touched, mate.
Yeah.
Then I went and I did research. I was a researcher, but eventually I got a better role in it. But I was running around Sydney giving packs of black cigarettes to people to try, sitting while they were smoking them, and doing a survey on what they tasted like.
Oh.
Did that for 2 years.
Yeah.
Then I got a marketing coordinator job at Kmart. I was 26, I reckon,
Mm.
and I was on $45,000 a year.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
And then I built up 30. I was in shopping centers and commercial construction, maybe 100. DJ Gardner, probably shouldn't say this. Gonna say it anyway. Pretty much the international marketing manager. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
That was my last job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I worked my way up and I worked my ass off. And I
Yeah.
think I
Yep.
was
Yep.
30, approaching my mid-30s.
Yep. Yep.
Pretty sad. Not sad, but when you have a look at the thing, I had a great career. I did
Yeah.
lots of stuff. That's why I started a building company, because I needed to try and get rich
Yeah. Yeah.
later on in life, because you're catching up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that is, I think, outside for all of you guys think and girls think about apprentices. I think that's a pretty standard kind of pathway for someone who went to
Exactly.
uni, and
Yeah.
maybe I'm a bit of a bum and took me a while to get a full-time
Nah, it's
job, but
pretty
mate,
common.
it was
Yeah. Yeah.
competitive and it was tough. So I think you're completely right, Rod. Sorry that I went off on a pretty long tangent.
No.
I just wanted to show
Nah,
the
yep,
difference, mate.
Yep. And also, I guess the incentive is doing a trade. You got the opportunity of doing a business, right? Becoming a business owner. So if you're clued on, you're smart, you could start a
Absolutely.
small trade business as well. So, get the experience. You could be out of your time. You could do your 4-year apprenticeship and spend another 5 years just working for under a good boss and whatnot. And then you can start your own business and start earning better money, right? And
So many benefits.
and you could avoid debt, like bad debt most of your life, and then you could work towards getting property and all, getting the property market and all that sort of stuff.
Your own property.
Exactly, 100%. So yeah,
So many skills that come with it, mate.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we might put that.
and your job is safe.
Do you know
as
what I'm
well.
going to do, Rod? I'm going to put those two graphics, my life, your life, side by side. Not comparing. Congratulations to you. Like, I'm not a jealous bloke. I'm going to put it side by side and go, here's the pathway of like traditional and uni student and traditional kind of builder. I think that needs to be shown. I think sometimes we think too short term.
Yep.
Even the young ones, they got to remember.
Yeah.
Like, it's a long game, hey. I'm getting along in the tooth and I'm still ready to go.
Yeah.
You've got a long way ahead of you to build something great. And speaking of building something great, let's get back to Frampton.
Okay.
And not my life. And we'll get, because there's a lot of stuff I want to talk to you, and I could talk to you all day, mate. You are amazing. You talk about a few things. The square metre trap.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about that, and you're cool with talking about how you look at that for building.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people fall under that trap, because where square meter works and it comes into play is like, as you've worked for, is like volume builders, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny because I got a phone call yesterday from someone who was saying, "Oh, we're looking at doing a renovation, extension or not." And I said, "Sure. What are you looking at getting done?" And they said, "Well, we've got a really old Queenslander and we thought about doing a knockdown rebuild." And they said it's going to cost us $800,000. I thought, oh man, that sounds kind of cheap. And he said, "Oh," well, and he goes, "Oh, it's from a volume builder." And they said, "But they won't touch our job because, one, we're on a busy street, we're on a tight block, we're next to a school and all that stuff." So that's the thing with where square meter rates come to play. So volume builders, they have like cookie cutter homes, like the same home after and after again. And that all their subcontractors, they give them, this is what we pay per linear meter rate. So then they have everything is basically set in stone, the same. All the blocks are going to be flat and straight, and that's why they can put a square meter to their standard project home, right?
Yeah.
Whereas a custom build, like, there's so many variables with a custom build. Is this, what type of site is it? Is it a sloping site? Is it a flat site? Is it tight site? Is it, what sort of cladding is it? Is it old timber cladding? Is it brick? There's so many variables, that it could be the same size home, but could be completely different. So that's, and I never entertain or I never go back and look what my square meter rate is, because it's
doesn't
so many
matter.
doesn't
in your game.
Exactly. In a custom build home, you cannot.
Yeah.
And then if you go down that rabbit hole, that trap, and you tell someone, well, if you go for square meter, it's going to cost you this. And then next thing, $100,000, $200,000 over, and it's why as well. Well, because like your home is not a basic standard home. You got so many variables. And
So, do you think, Rob, the communication of a square meter rate? I'm not putting it on the volume builders, because I worked for them and we used to talk square meters.
Yeah.
Do you think that's impacted the quality of trades as well? Like, in a way, in a roundabout ripple effect way, that they're having to sometimes work to a square meter rate? So they're just kind of like, or do you think it's just, hey, the good trades won't take that kind of work on,
Yeah. I
and there'll be certain types of trades that are just going to always be that way?
Yeah, I think when you start out as a business, I think maybe trades do fall into that trap.
Okay.
I think if you're I think certain trades like, for example, like plasterers and painters and all that stuff, they do have a basic square meter rate because a lot of their things is kind of standard and the things that like finish and whatnot. But there might be a few variables like in the renovation and whatnot. But like as a whole, you cannot put it down to a square meter rate. But experience tells sub trades or builders that you cannot go off a square meter rate, and that's where experience and communication comes, and education to the client saying, "Hey, this is why you can't do a square meter rate. We've got to properly sit down and do the numbers. We've got to do a full takeoff to fully understand what the costs will be." Because I could give you a figure or give you a range, but I could be out by
Yeah.
a lot of money, and then you're going to come back to me and say, "Oh, you said it's going to cost this much," and that's the rabbit hole you go down. Like when people say, "Hey, how much do you think it's going to cost?" I'm like, "Oh, well, it's not that simple. There's so many variables. We got to this is the process. We're going to start off getting you some design. We're going to figure out what your scope is, and like." You could have a budget in mind, and the client can discuss to you this is our budget range. And like, for example, if they say, "Oh, our budget's like $200,000
Yeah.
and we want to do a full build and build underneath an extension and stuff," and you're not going to get that for $200,000. So you're going to know straight away. So they could give you a bit of a budget range and say, "Well, judging by your budget, you do have quite a good budget, so you can it would be possible to get what you close
Love it.
close
Love it.
to what you need. If not, we can just look at how we can scale it to so you're still getting the what your minimum requirements. So if you need that extra bedroom or two, and if you can get that pool room or that swimming pool, and because you got the budget, we can add all those in. But for now, let's just see what your minimum requirements are, like just to get
Wow.
make your home a bit more comfortable for your growing family and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the approach I like to go.
I love
Yeah,
it. Well, if you don't mind, Rod,
yeah.
the 11-step process we alluded to earlier in the podcast, do you mind going through it a little bit? Because that sounded like it was a bit of a process. And I was just sitting there, like, listening, man, and I was like, this is so cool because I was like, you just understand your customer.
Mm-mm.
You just really get to the nitty gritty and then provide a solution that may, suit. It might not be their budget, but you're trying to find a solution to everything.
No,
But how do you get to that? So
yeah.
what's the Frampton 11-step process, if you don't mind? Don't
Yeah.
go right into it.
No, yeah.
Your IP, bro.
No, yeah. So basically, it's a process, and it's a process of eliminations.
Okay.
Like I was just saying before, you got to really understand what the customer needs and wants. And
Do you have a document for that?
yeah, I do. If you go onto my website, you find the Frampton Way, and it has it all listed out. So it's an acronym, Frampton Way, and then it
Yeah.
has everything stepped out. So,
Okay.
and I believe it's the right process, and it's basically like I said, it's kind of like a process of elimination. Like it's like a tick and flip box in order. Yeah,
How did you come up with? Is that
it's. I think it's just something that's
years of?
years of experience and just dealing with the client and just knowing what everyone needs and basically the process. So yeah, working with people closely and
Yeah.
yep.
Wow. Well, again, talking about sort of working closely with people, you do a lot of renovations and extensions. Maybe we've had one other renovation extension built. No, we had excuse me, we dropped it today actually. It was around a gentleman who built in for Vital Ease in NDIS homes and converting them to, more compliant and so the person with an ailment can live in their home and make it livable.
Mm,
And one of the things he was talking about was how intimate the relationship can be because
mm,
you sometimes living in a home, working in a home that they're
yeah.
living in. What did that teach you about building actually, Rod? Because you must do some wild things with people still living in their home.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I try not to. Well, depending on the project size or what's involved, I try not to. It's a good idea that the client's not living in there, but at the same time, I've had like, for example, the clients we got now because they've got a massive 1,000 square meter home, so we can do it in sections. So they're living in the home, and like we have a good relationship with clients well, I have a good relationship with all my clients, right?
Yeah,
And then
you
it's
can
funny
see that.
because how they say don't become friends with your clients or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
It's funny because I actually
It's like that meme.
yeah
When you're
yeah
dancing with them after
I
starting
actually
to cut
become quite close with my clients in the end. So I'm friends with a lot of them, and a lot of them I still keep in contact, whether it's through social media. They might comment on my posts, or some clients invite me out to like dinner, or I went down to the Formula One with one of my clients invited me to Formula One this year, and so I have a good relationship
In
with
Melbourne.
in Melbourne. So yeah.
What builder gets asked by their client to come to the Formula One? It's usually the other way around. That's what I'm saying, Rod.
Yeah.
Like there is something, not something about you. You are very clear on how you do things. You're a very good builder, and you are a very good business person.
Yeah.
Like, to have that, it was interesting. We've had a few builders on here, and they've kind of gone, "Oh, I don't want a relationship with my client." And I was like, "That's weird."
Oh man.
Because it's kind of like, I've called it on a few podcasts, but when I was at GJ's, because I was outside of home building, when I came in, because I was Kmart's marketing manager for a while, as I sort of alluded to before, and I used to sell men's underwear. Men's underwear, you just go in, $12 pack of 3, let's go. You're at the door. I came into home building, and it's like, holy shit, this is like a marriage.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, they're buying something from you for a year.
Exactly, yeah.
And then when a few builders, again, nameless, won't name them, said, "Oh, we don't really want relationships with our clients, and I don't think they want a relationship with us." I'm kind of like, "Nah, I think they do. I think they really do. They want to understand you. They want to trust you."
Exactly.
And if trust is not part of a relationship, then I don't know what the hell is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you sound like you're very trusted. So,
Nah, yeah.
is that something you're mindful of? Like,
100%. It's like like a marriage. You both got to be able to click with each other, and it's a two-way street. You don't want to be going to business with, or you don't want to be doing work for someone you don't really like, or don't really trust, or don't have values with. The same with the client. You don't want to go into a relationship with a builder who you don't really trust, or don't have a good relationship. You guys want to be like tight. You guys got to be able to gel. Yeah, communicate.
Yeah.
It's just like,
which was a theme through this whole podcast, mate.
yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. So, and the other thing is like the Swish acronym McP, and that's how you should sell as well, as like myself, company, and product, and you should do that in order, like, or just as important. So myself, like, people buy people first, right? So you want to be able to develop that relationship with people. So myself, then company. So you want to sell on your company, like what's companies. My company's been in business for over a decade now. We have good relationship with our subcontracting suppliers, and then the product. Our product is still just important, but you still want to still sell all three. So yeah,
Mate, you just broke down exactly what I'm trying to teach.
Yeah.
The good builder a little bit.
Yeah.
MCP.
Yeah.
P.
Yeah.
So it was myself,
company and product.
company, then product.
Yeah.
That is the way that you view things. In terms
Exactly.
Of,
Yeah. Building value to your customer. So, and then and relationships is a big thing. Especially, I tell you what, like with AI coming into these days with agents and whatnot, it's going to be a point in time where in the next few years where AI agents are going to be doing all the back end of things. So if we're businesses, my AI agent's going to be talking to your agent and they're going to be doing all the paperwork and all that stuff, and you oversee all that. So it's going to be more important than ever to develop that sales and relationship skills, because you got to be able to have a chat to your clients or to the business owner direct, and you got to have that good relationship, because long gone the days where it's all going to be you got to be sort out all the paperwork and send all the emails, and that's going to be handled all by your AI agents and stuff. So so sales is going to be more important and build that relationship skills, and communication is going to be more important than ever. Yeah, now that AI is coming in, so I don't think people realize that. So yeah.
Blow me away with everything you say, mate. I love the way you think. I love how deep you are on looking at stuff, because all I'm hearing in the industry right now, and I've probably been a promoter of it as well, don't get me wrong. I am not a hypocrite, but all I'm hearing in the industry right now is, what can AI do next?
Yeah.
What can AI do next? And it does scare me a little bit. I had a really good chat with a guy in Melbourne who I greatly respect, who is deep in AI, has a global business, very smart dude, Gavin Sloan, live chat monitoring. Love you, mate. And he's a lovely bloke and very deep thinker like you. And he was the only other bloke that kind of said the same thing to me. He's like, I'm so deep in AI. I love it. It runs my business. It runs other, it helps me provide services to other businesses. But you got to watch out.
Okay,
he said the same thing that you kind of said. And I think it is 100% going to be a differentiator. Even now, I think there are people being lazy right now. Getting back to customers with AI, just a simple phone call.
Well,
Interesting.
I'll tell you what, I think people got to be careful with this, especially people in new businesses. I think for established businesses like me, it's gonna be a very good benefit, very good tool. But because like I've learnt the hard way, or I've built these systems and processes over time, and I've trialed and tested and all that stuff. Whereas like new businesses who are coming in, they're going to rely a lot on AI to build this stuff where they don't, and then then AI is going to say, go to the market and say, oh, well, this is how you should be running your business, blah, blah, blah. And then they're going to be and then it's going to be I guess you could say the blind leading the blind type thing in a way. But established business, me, we already got our systems and processes, and then we're training the AI, and the AI is going to be tweaking all that stuff and making it more efficient. I think it's going to cause a lot of headaches for businesses who are starting and going to rely on these agents to build their business for them, because it doesn't work like that. You gotta have a really good knowledge of. I think encourage people who are going to start a business is to get like a really good mentor and help them with systems and processes, and then get the AI agents to help them build it out. Not go to get an agent and then say, build my business for me. And then, so, and like I said, the other thing people got to be aware of is that skill set of communication and learning how to sell properly, and being like servicing your customer, and that building that relationship with other business owners or your customer. Otherwise, you can't just rely on that agent to do all that stuff for you. So
again, freaking love it. Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think you're guiding the process. You're guiding the agent. The agent's not guiding you.
No, exactly. Yep.
You are. And you know what I liken it to? I liken it to your earlier comment in this podcast right around kind of doing time in your apprenticeship and learning from the old heads in the industry and getting that knowledge out of them.
Yeah.
And then forming your thing, and then you're off and running. I think it's kind of like that same sort of thing. It's like people look at it like a shortcut, like the government did, bring them in, push them through, but all you get is a substandard product than what you could have developed or service or business if you actually went through the rigor yourself and learned. Time's a wonderful thing. When I started The Good Builder, I was so aggressive with it. Like I was running around to lawyers and stuff. And I remember this one lawyer, I was like, come sponsor us. Like, we're ready to go. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And we probably had 20 followers at the time. Now we have like 35,000 of us. And he said to me, "Mate, I'm not going to look at you right now. It's like time in the boat. Spend your time in the boat."
Patience. I need to learn patience these days.
That's what he said. And it stuck with me the whole time. I was like, and I sat there not feeling like a fool. He said it in a lovely way.
Yeah.
But I was like, and I'm older, probably older than you, mate. I'm still learning, but I'm like, oh my God, you're completely right. Time in the boat is a wonderful thing. And even as life, like personally, as I get older, I get better. So I think you're complete, but you're a fascinating dude, mate.
Yeah, thanks.
So cool. Well, unfortunately, we've got to end the podcast, but we didn't actually get to really anything that we didn't get too deep about Frampton stuff, mate. I'll tell you what you did.
Yeah.
You educated me and probably all of our community out there about a whole bunch of things. That was very cool. So I appreciate you, Rod. But I want to have you back on. And like I said, we've started this advisory board. I'm sorry to put this on you on air, but I wanted to. Right. And we've got some really sophisticated builders and suppliers and things that we are going to bring in to ensure that we're talking about the right things and giving out the right perspectives and things that you've given today on this podcast. Don't have to answer me live on this podcast, mate, but I'd love you to be part of the group.
I'm very keen. So,
mate, you are a weapon. My last question for you, Rod, and it's our signature question. And I think, mate, you are it. But what do you think makes a good builder?
Well, like I said, it's a combination of things, and there's different layers. Sure, like skill set and knowledge of the trade is important, but I think knowing your numbers and learning how to sell and communication and knowing how to run a business is probably ultimately the key thing. Financials, being able to forecast your cash flow and know your numbers, like is your jobs profitable? Because a lot of, I think, I can't remember what the statistic is, but like something like 80 or 90% of builders trade insolvent. And they think they're getting all this money, cash grabs from the next project, and then it comes to a point where they just run out of money and then major debt from like tax or creditors and all that stuff. So you got to really know your numbers, like your financials, for being able to forecast and knowing that your jobs are profitable. And once you learn that, you got to know how to sell, because you got to sell to the customer on why you're more expensive than the next Joe bloke, because you're going to do them a good service. You're not going to do them a disservice by going bust halfway through the project or or running out of money and then asking for more money from them, and or just cutting corners because you've underquoted a job. So you got to,
Wow.
so knowing how to run a business, communication and financial. So yep.
Bloody hell. Mate, this has been honestly, a really refreshing podcast for
Okay.
me. I know
Okay.
it sounds really bad, but like a really refreshing one. You are
Yeah.
amazing, mate. As I said, I've been looking around for and I met you at the Swish conference and I
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
went, well, and it took a little while to get you on here. I was
Mm,
chasing Rod down, but mate, yeah, I've been looking around. I don't know how else to say this, but like, I think smaller custom builders almost need a role model.
mm.
Like there's a lot out there and there's a lot of builder coaches and different
Yep.
things and
Yep.
stuff like that. But I think they need a role model of, who's doing it right in the industry. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you on today. And we've got a big community. So,
Mm.
I'll see what you're up to because I think, yeah, you're a new level of builder in that space. And I love the way you think about things. I said off camera, guys, that, I reckon, Rod, I've been in some big corporations and you could run any big corporation.
Okay.
Not that that's a compliment, but I
Mm.
know what it is. But like,
Yeah.
you impress me as much as those guys. You got the knowledge of
Yeah.
those guys, but then you've got the practicality and the technical
Mm.
knowledge of a builder.
Yeah.
You're a freaking weapon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, Ron. I don't know what else to say. I'm going to have you back on, mate. I hope everyone loved that out there. That was fascinating, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Yeah. Perfect. Oh, thanks for your inviting me. It was a
Oh,
pleasure.
it's awesome.